So now it's my turn to tell you a little bit about what's on my mind. And if I get a little bit angry today, I apologize, but I couldn't help it. So the book of the Talmud, the book of Bamidbar, the book we're reading now, and it begins with the description of a people that is being counted, and then they're organized by tribe and into local groups, logical groups, by the Ruvain, Levi, the tribes. They're organized that way. This was being done to prepare Bnei Israel to receive their freedom. They're getting ready to go to a nation, to go to Canaan. They're not really ready to fight. They don't know how to fight. They were nothing but slaves. And now they're being organized into groups that can be taught. It's no longer the ragtag, disheveled mob that left Mitzrayim, that left Egypt. No more. Can't be. Because everyone had to become part of a group who in turn would work with the other groups as one nation to defend and protect itself from any and all enemies who wanted to take that God-given gift of freedom away. Can you imagine people want to take our God-given gift of freedom away? It's hard to believe. But since God, with great miracles and wonders, and with an outstretched arm, freed Bnei Israel from its horrible, horrible fate as lowly slaves. Couldn't be slaves anymore. You got freedom now. They had to get a new focus driven by God, and it is called freedom. The people had every reason to be excited for their future. Everybody was so excited. I mean, they should have been. God had just freed them from bitter servitude, promised them great prospects ahead, and then Moshe was organizing them to enter the promised land flowing with milk and honey, a land where they could enjoy complete freedom, a land where God would give each person the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Have you ever heard that before? It could not get much better than this. But it didn't really work out the way we think it should have worked out, did it? Days after leaving Egypt, Bnei Israel experienced the incident at Yam Suf, the Sea of Reeds. As they saw the thunderous clouds of dust from Pharaoh's rapidly approaching chariots, Bnei Israel gave up all hope. To reestablish control, God had to intervene again. After they crossed in safety, right after singing praises and dancing with great joy that God saved them, the people realized they had no food or drink. Hey, God, what are we going to eat? What are we going to drink? Hey, Moshe, what are you going to do? You keep doing nice things for us, but what did you do for me lately, God? What did you do for me lately? So God had to intervene again, and when they were attacked by the locals, God had to intervene again and again. So during the first few weeks after the Exodus, even though they were being continuously coddled by God, Bnei Israel bellyached nonstop about every little thing and how much they wanted to return to slavery. To better understand what that would sound like, all you have to do is go anywhere in the world to a Jewish board meeting of any kind, and you'll hear it. Anyway, finally, God performed the greatest intervention of all. God appeared to them from Mount Sinai, giving Bnei Israel the greatest gift we human beings have ever received. And of course, that's the awesome divine revelation through Torah. So this gift contained the moral and ethical foundation for Bnei Israel. The emerging sovereign Am Yisrael, people Israel, was to become built on their commitment to love and to share our God with the world. not to keep it to ourselves. We're supposed to share God. Before this could happen, before it could happen, today's Torah reading organizes the people into tribes, and each tribe is given certain areas of responsibility. In other words, they're trained. They're trained in what they need to do. The rest is history, but we remain strong to this day because the rest is history. We Jews choose to remember our history. We relive it every time we read the Torah and chant a Haftorah every time. I mean, today, if Baruch did not chant that Haftorah for us, would we even know about this Haftorah? No, it's part of our history. We relive it every chance we get. We relive it at a Seder. We when we sit in the sukkah and when we observe a yortzeit. And like what's going to happen this Thursday, this coming Thursday, it happens when we say Yizkor, we remember our past. We remember our history. Every little Jewish moment in our lives triggers a Jewish historical flashback. You know that's true. I just mentioned that this Thursday is Yizkor. Well, what about the day before yesterday? This past Thursday, June 6th. This is what got me. I happened to ask a few teenagers who I happened to see walking around coming home from school, if they knew what today is. And they laughed at me. I asked again. I could tell how their attitude changed when I asked it a second time. Do you know what today is? You know, obviously they thought I was just an old man who wanted to know what day it was because I must have forgotten. And they said Thursday. And I responded, I know you know it is Thursday. I wanted to know if you know what today is. Oh my God. They had no idea what I was talking about. These are teenagers. And a few started to mock me as if I was not all there. Well, maybe I'm not. But then I asked them, did any of you know that today is D-Day? And they all said almost in unison with complete disrespect, D-Day? What the hell is D-Day? Can you imagine this? So yes, I said calmly, D-Day. Have you ever heard of D-Day? And they asked, oh my God, is D-Day an important day? Of course it is, I said. And then I started to tell them about D-Day. And to my surprise, the more I talked, the more fascinated they were, the more they wanted to know, the more questions they had. But oh man, was I disheartened that it was not even mentioned in school at all that day. Nobody mentioned it. D-Day? And with the kids and social media and playing, they don't get any sense of history. They don't know what's going on. They don't see the news. So we all know that somewhere along the line, things have gone really, really wrong in our country. The question we have to ask ourselves is how things could have gone so wrong. Why is it so important for us to erase the history we do not like by tearing down statues and forgetting our history that we should like? And then to fight for the right for a third grader to choose their gender while transferring more of our parental rights to the government. When did this happen? How did it happen? What about trying to force us to use nondescript pronouns? Oh my God. Please get me a vomit bag. I can't stand it. In every society, there are those who get it and those who do not. It's been true in all of history. We know that. There are those who believe the ideal world and those who believe the real world. There are those who understand an existential threat and those who operate within idealistic models. There are those who live their lives with so much faith that they believe God will answer their prayers exactly as requested. There are those who do not believe in God at all, believing and trusting only in government. There are those who feel they are powerless and whatever happens, happens. There are those who believe that everyone is trustworthy and good, and that they will also do the right thing all the time. Then there are those who feel nobody is trustworthy and will always do the wrong thing every time. Now let's put this in context. If I asked you to tell me where does Torah fit into all this, I can only imagine what your answer would be. Do you know what the Torah wants us to learn about how we should approach our lives with a strong understanding of our history? Can't keep writing history. History is history. Leave it alone. Don't explain it. It happened when it happened. It's different now. And don't forget it. Remember it. Should we have blind faith in God? No. Should we have blind faith in each other? No. Should we question God? Absolutely. Should we question each other? Without question. Should we put these questions in the context of what came before? 100%. There are not many left, but ask any soldier who relives D-Day every moment of their lives. They just went to Normandy, like 900 of them. It's amazing. There's still so many alive. But they relive D-Day every day of their lives. There are not many left, but ask any Marine who relives Iwo Jima every day of their lives. I saw it happen with my father every day. Would never talk about it, but boy, he sure relived it. And there are not many left, but ask any soldier who relives the Battle of the Bulge every day of their lives. There are not many left, but ask any soldier who relives the many other battles of World War II fought in Europe, Africa, and the Pacific every day of their lives. They can't get it out of their heads. It's there forever. There are not many left, but ask any American soldier who relives what they witnessed when they first approached the death camps of the Holocaust. I know they relive this every day of their lives, no differently than somebody who went through the Holocaust. How do you forget that? What about the American soldiers who fought for our freedom during the Revolutionary War, during the Civil War, during World War I? What about those brave men and women who fight for us in modern times? What will they have to relive every day of for the rest of their lives? And maybe for all eternity. Who knows? What about those American soldiers who returned from Korea and Vietnam and Somalia and Kosovo and Bosnia and Iraq and Afghanistan and so many other places who must relive what they witnessed every day for the rest of their lives? Every soldier is forced to witness the worst that humankind can dish up. And we must be filled with questions every day of our lives. Deep down inside, we also know that those of us who call ourselves Jewish war veterans have questions that are very different than those from other veterans organizations. I'm a member of the Veterans the American Legion, and I'm also a member of the Jewish War Veterans. When you get together with your peers, you don't talk about the same things at all. It's a totally different conversation. A Jewish war veteran wonders why the Torah was written for a kingdom of priests and is filled with so many examples of God-fearing people who don't act so good. They act out in very bizarre ways. A Jewish war veteran asks how Torah can describe a people that can never become satisfied and who complains all the time. A Jewish war veteran asks how Torah can describe in such detail how its followers desecrate themselves, each other, and God. That's what we talk about. I never talk about anything like that in the American Legion. But frankly, I suspect that most Jewish war veterans instinctively know the answer to these questions. In today's Torah reading, we are assigned to family tribes. You can't go any further until you identify with a group, a family tribe. You know what? The military does exactly the same thing. It calls its tribes the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Space Force, and the Coast Guard. Then, like in today's Torah reading, the members of the tribes are broken into smaller groups, like platoons, so on, so that each person can take turn performing their roles in the right place at the right time with the right skills. That's what we did. We set up our own people like that. Then, when they are called into action, the members of our military do whatever it takes to protect all American families. And there's a sense of seriousness and of purpose that takes over. Many Jewish personnel seek the companionship of other Jews in their tribe. Of course, through it all, rumors abound. Most of these rumors end in what we want the ideal result to be. Yeah, the war will be over by Christmas or whatever. While the outcomes follow the laws of logic really nicely, they're rarely even close to reality since they are based on nothing but hope. The logic is good, there ain't no facts. It's how we deal with the rumors that matters most. The Torah tells us what matters to real people who trust rumor over reality, who trust logic over truth, who trust idealism over existential fact. That kind of thinking never ends well. It never does. You can do what you want, but it ain't gonna end well. So ask anyone who must live with the memory of seeing their best buddy. You can't even describe this. You see your best buddy catch a bullet, drop to the ground dead, standing right next to you, or steps on a mortar or an IED while fighting for our country's freedom and safety. Ask anyone if they could ever forget the face even of the enemy who suffered the excruciating pain of the mortal wounds that we inflicted on them, even in self-defense. It's unbearable pain for us. Most Jewish war veterans instinctively know that the Torah describes life in such realistic detail because reality is all there is. That is why the Torah describes very real people in very real ways. That is why the Torah describes those who are hateful, those who are murderers, and those who are intellectually dishonest, those who are rapists, and those who are thieves, those who are cruel, and those who are disrespectful. They want that to be part of our known history, not to forget it. That is why the Torah describes those who ignore God, ignore others, and ignore the obligations of human beings. That's why. So we shouldn't forget. It's part of our history. That is why the Torah describes the way of the real world and how it exists, always in historical context. On the other hand, the Torah describes our covenant with God and the good things that result from it. The Torah makes very few details and deals with us, very few deals that if we do this or that, we're going to get rewarded in the world to come. I mean, it just, or even in this world, it's so rare to see that in our Torah. The Torah thinks doing the right thing is its own reward. Whoa, what a novel idea. The Torah teaches us that we should never wait for God or others to reward us. Never wait for them. The Torah teaches us not to have blind trust in others. The Torah is describing the way of the real world and why keeping our history must always be at our forefront. Our Torah is teaching that doing the right thing is its own reward. With this in mind, How could any school in the Western world ever make it through last Thursday and not even mention D-Day? And when I heard the question, is D-Day important? I almost broke down and cried. And that was before my time. So with as an ending, I'd like to say Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisrael Chai, and God bless America.